What's up, everybody? We are back at Around the Map Pod. I am your host, PJ North, and we're doing it all again. It's another week. I'm back. Obviously, last week we were off, had to take a little trip to St. Louis. Unfortunately, not for Backlash, but we'll get to that. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of wrestling things. But before we get to that, if you're watching live on YouTube, let us know in the chat window. The chat bleachers are open. We want to know what you're thinking about, what your thoughts are on what we're talking about. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, don't forget to leave us a review. Leave a comment on Spotify if you're listening. That's a new thing, so let us know. Hit that follow button. And if you're watching again on YouTube at any time, hit that like and subscribe button. We'd love for you to get notifications when we go live every Thursday. Time obviously changes a little bit each week, but this week here we are at 6:05 Eastern, or 6:05 Central, 7:05 Eastern live, and we're doing it. So let's get into it. Let me bring in the big homie. He is the elegant one, T.Y. Tyler Miller. What's up, baby?
What's going on, PJ? Glad to be back, man. I'm been going down nostalgic lane here lately. I've been watching a lot of old ECW stuff. Actually, restarted it from the beginning.
Don't you love doing that?
Yeah, dude, I love it. And it's a little intimidating when you go through and you see how many seasons of everything.
I know, but once you let it roll, baby.
Exactly. So I've started it back when it was Eastern Championship Wrestling.
They have a lot of cool matches on top. I'm not going to say the rest of the show is good, but on top, Eddie Gilbert, Don Morocco, Snuka, Santana. They have a bunch of dudes that like early Eastern Championship Wrestling is actually cool. Terry Funk's there like very early on. It's very cool.
But yeah, man, it's been really cool to experience some of that older stuff that I didn't get to live, and of course, the stuff nowadays. Raw's been, iffy here.
Right, I know that's right.
Kind of the same for me. So
yeah, I think that's like the thing. It's we get a chance to mix it up and watch all that old stuff. I'm watching currently. I always go through like random phases of old stuff that I want to watch, right? And then I can't ever watch a pay-per-view. I have to watch the show leading up to the pay-per-view and then watch the pay-per-view. But right now, WCW back in the day didn't have pay-per-views all the time. So like there would be title changes that you didn't even know. So I'm working on one of my race cars in the garage right now, and I just hung up a TV. So I got the vibe going on out there. And I just let WCW World Championship Wrestling, as they called it then, just rolling through. I started in like 86. Yeah, I started right after Starrcade, whichever one of the Starrcades. I guess that would have been Starrcade 3 or 4, 2, 3, whatever it was. The Horsemen had just really aligned. J.J. Dillon is with Tully Blanchard on Tully Blanchard. It's a whole thing, and so I'm just letting it roll in the background. I'm listening because it's mostly promos. That show was mostly promos. There's like 2 matches, and they're all squash matches. So it's like you're not to really watch it. But I'm the same way, man. I'm going through that nostalgia. Speaking of nostalgia too, before we get into, I wanted to ask you: do you watch Dark Side of the Ring?
So since I canceled cable a few months back, I've been trying to navigate how to watch it.
I'm gonna send you a link so you can watch.
I got you. You
got to do some deep searches, but I found it.
I did catch a little bit of the Sheik episode, which I
haven't seen it yet.
I think that was the one this past Tuesday. Which
could that have happened at a better time with Sabu, obviously, and all, we're gonna talk about that. But it's kind of crazy, not good timing, but like it's kind of crazy how that timed out.
Yeah, no, it was definitely ironic, and it was one of the ones that I wanted to see pretty badly, more so out of any of the season. But it was pretty good.
I will tell you, it's a pretty dark season in the sense of like it's not darker than most, but it's dark in the sense of like you didn't really know. I didn't know a lot of the things with each of these guys. Like I didn't realize how bad it got with Vader. And like how sick he was, and like how everything turned out, like that felt kind of that was kind of sad. Obviously, the first one, Hell in a Cell, was like whatever. I don't even know why they call it a Dark Side of the Ring. That was just like highlighting something we've beat to death for 20 some odd years, 30 years now. That was whatever. But the Superstar Billy Graham one was pretty sad. I haven't seen the Sheik one yet. The Billy Jack Haynes one is absolutely unhinged. Mm-hmm. Who's the other one? Superstar Billy Graham, Vader, Hell in a Cell, Billy Jack Haynes.
I think they did one on Eddie Gilbert as
Yeah,
well.
and then the Eddie Gilbert one. Yeah, the Eddie Gilbert one. And the Eddie Gilbert one's sad, man, because he was just like a great mind gone too soon, which is pretty wild. So, yeah, Dark Side of the Ring though. I'll shoot you a link of where I had to find. I mean, it took me forever to find one because I'll tell you this why. If anybody hears this from Vice TV, either fix your computer app, fix the TV app, whatever it may be, but it is impossible to watch it on your guys' website. So I don't want to hear shit from y'all about me stealing it because y'all don't let it. It's not applicable for anybody to watch the shit, okay? So I don't want to hear it. But yeah, it's Dark Side of the Ring. All right, man, let's get into it. Headlines. I know me and you talked to a little bit offline. We were talking about best seats and different stuff, man. So we'll talk about that maybe next episode. I'll come up with some questions around seating within it. So let's kick it off, though. The headlines. Obviously, the first headline, a very sad day. We lost Sabu. I obviously like ECW. I always thought Sabu was an interesting character. He wasn't ever one of my favorite wrestlers or anything like that, but I know he had a tough life, man. He kind of went through it. Obviously I think he probably had a little drug abuse problem, a little alcohol abuse problem, which I think most of the guys did in the 90s, and he was doing it extremely hardcore stuff. But he managed to fight in a lot of places: WCW, ECW, WWE, TNA. I mean, he pretty much did it everywhere. Now, obviously, his last match, GCW with Janela. I don't pay attention to the online fodder about all that stuff, but because I don't really think there's a place for it right now. But yeah, man, sad to see another one lost. He was 60 years old, so it wasn't, he lived a full life, I'm sure, within that. And seeing Taz talk about it last week, I thought was sad because he obviously, like him and Sabu that was the thing there with Fonzie and those guys. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? Obviously, you're kind of a hardcore deathmatch guy. What's your thoughts on Sabu?
I agree, man. The first one of the first glimpses that I really got of Sabu was, of course, some of the WWE ECW stuff, and then I bought a ECW, the Rise and Fall of ECW on DVD back in the day, and then some of, ironically enough, ECW's like bloodiest matches or some crazy shit like
Blood, Guts, and something else. I used to have that one too. Yeah, the collection.
Yeah, so that was another one that kind of introduced me to Sabu, and I mean, man, he was super captivating, especially as I got older, and was into a little bit more of the hardcore type of wrestling, but he also incorporated like some of the like the cruiserweight type high fly, and
the Arabian Facebuster, the triple jump moonsault, all that shit that he did, man. Holy hell.
Yeah, dude, and to your point of him or Taz speaking on it, I was watching that last night on AEW, and I was like, man, that's a tearjerker there.
Yeah, it definitely has obviously an emotional connection, being brothers and stuff like. I think the one thing that sucks is that sometimes we wait until people are gone before we give them the praise. Now, obviously, Sabu has said a lot of things on the internet, but outside of that, like, I don't know if we praise people while they're here, and then when they're gone, all of a sudden it's like he was super innovative, and it's like I don't know if we ever talked about how innovative he really was until he passed. You know what I mean? Like they were talking about the innovations that he's had and done, and I saw that a lot on the internet. That's a crazy thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and one thing that I was thinking about when you sent that over to me, I was like, man, he was definitely way before his time, because some of the older stuff that I've been watching, he debuted and they wheeled him out on a gurney.
Oh yeah, when they first did the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal. Yeah.
He was chained to a gurney with like Hannibal Lecter style mask on, and if he lost a match or whatever, he would jump up on the ropes and do bat flips in the ring on nobody, and I'm just like, man, this guy is wild.
I thought that character work was underrated. I thought he like played into that character pretty good.
And something else that I've just now noticed watching some of this older stuff too is he actually won the ECW heavyweight title. I think it was maybe his second or third appearance in ECW. And to strap a guy up with your heavyweight championship after 2 or 3 appearances, man, that's saying something.
Yeah, I think that he was, like I said, he's just like an innovator of the stuff that he was doing. And, I mean, obviously he had a profound impact on professional wrestling. I think the craziest clip that I saw, of all that stuff was doing the triple jump onto Cena on the table. I don't ever remember that match. Right, I wasn't watching WWE actively then at that point, and that was a crazy. And I was like, "Damn, that's cool that even Cena, put him over for that." So, a lot of stuff, man. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like I said, to see Sabu passing, R.I.P., and thoughts to his family and friends and all those folks, because I know that can't be easy to see a guy like that. Like I said, it's been in the limelight for so long. About it.
Yeah, and I think, dude, as far as hardcore wrestling as well, whether it be hardcore or leaning into that deathmatch style, someone like Sabu, who is actually able to really go and make the hardcore style mean something. I think that was him and like Terry Funk and of course Cactus Jack. I think of course were the innovators of it. Yeah,
my favorite is the ring announcer for ECW from Bombay, Michigan. I always thought that was so funny. Yeah. So, Sabu. All right, up next headline. I think something that we've seen a lot is the discourse around attendance on the internet, and I think people last night was a point. We'll talk a little bit about AEW later on, but just do you think attendance dictates success? Whether or not something is successful, do you think that is the main indicator of a promotion, especially in wrestling? And I'll let you kick that off. What your thoughts are?
Man, I feel like that's a loaded question, and there's a really fine line there. I do feel like attendance is probably the biggest thing in wrestling, of course, because the crowd, the crowd is a part of the show. Whether some wrestlers like it or not, that's more than like the biggest part of the show. That's the reason why a lot of them show up, put the boots and the tape on, and get in the ring.
Yep.
But I think that also at the same time, I don't feel like you can compare attendance when it comes to like AEW and WWE. I feel like, I think
of course, that's the main thing, because it's always been WWE versus everybody. Attendance, that's always been their thing, right?
Exactly. And, of course, everybody knows WWE's had a 20, 30, 40 plus year head start. And, if you're comparing their attendance at 60, 70,000 people in a stadium show versus AEW's 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, on a weekly show. I would say if AEW is hosting an event that's in a venue that's 3,000 people, if they sell 3,000 seats, I would say that's successful. Whereas some people, big WWE stands would say they only sold 3,000 seats. They're not shit. They're not successful, whatever. WWE is selling this amount. It's like, well, they chose to book this building for reason, whatever, and they sold it out, and it's also, from what I've seen, you might be able to test a little bit more because you were more so in the music industry. But you definitely you would rather fill up rooms as an artist with 500 people than to play to 500 people in a room that can fit 5,000.
Yeah, and that's really where I was going to go with this question, is that, from a headline perspective, the reason is obviously numbers come out every week and we talk about attendance and we talk about ratings and all this shit. In reality, though, I believe that it's a success because they get paid to put show on, right? Very similar to the music industry. I would say, I saw the 1975 in like a 300 cap room the first time I saw them, and it was electric, changed my life, all that stuff. And then I watched them steadily grow room to room to room. Now I see them only in arenas. All right. So I think that it takes growth and you can't happen overnight. I understand that AEW came in swinging, obviously, when they first started. And I think that huge dip made such a profound impact as to like, was the product actually bad, or did we think it's bad because the seats were empty and everybody talked about it? Right. So like, what is the success? They got paid. Their ratings are doing good. They're obviously whatever. And they're selling those tickets, and they obviously have success at every PLE is over to every PLE that they do or pay-per-view is over 10,000. So like, what's the success rate? Now everyone's trying to compare. It's like, well, they don't do 18,000. It's like you said, WWE had a 40-year head start. Goddamn, they can't sell 18,000. How the hell can't they? They supposedly have the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. Roman Reigns is a huge star. You ought to be able to fucking sell it out. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you ought to be able to sell it out. So I think there's like this constant discourse amongst the internet, and like you can't avoid. Like, I've tried to avoid it, but it's impossible. I mean, I can't unfollow it. I can't mute every single person I see. It takes too long. And so I'm like, damn, I just don't know. But I think for me, I don't know that attendance dictates success. I think capacity dictates success. If I have 10,000 seats and I sell 9,500, I'm feel good about it, right? If I have 12,000 and I sold 3,000, I don't have very good faith in that. So yeah, I don't know, man. That's like I said, where the question came from. I just felt like it was an interesting take because you see that a lot online, and obviously it's a huge headline all the time. Is how many tickets has everybody sold? And the main point is this: I saw Darby Allin, who's the worst AEW neckbeard, versus Raj Giri, who's the biggest idiot in wrestling journal. Well, he's not the big. They're all tied for first, but the journalists, right? And they were talking about, Raj has had a tweet that was like, TNA is the second biggest company in wrestling, and then Darby Allin just posted LOL at the ticket sales or whatever. And I was just like, man, we've got two idiots on the internet yelling at each other for companies that they don't work for. It's pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
And
I will say, before we switch topics, man, I will say, I feel like definitely attendance is definitely a big thing. Obviously, as everyone knows.
Well, right. I'm not saying, but I'm saying, like, if you sell 500 and you're an indie promotion, that's a success.
Absolutely. And I feel like people really just need to know where to compare it at and how to actually compare
1,000%.
Because like you said, everybody knows attendance is inevitable. We need that. We all saw what happened with COVID.
Yep.
So we need crowds, whether
1,000%.
Whether it's 50 of them in a super small room and that's all you can fit in there, or if it's 100,000 in a stadium.
To go back to the ECW thing, and this will be the last point, but ECW looked so good in small venues, right? They didn't have a TV deal to make it. AEW looks amazing in small venues, and they have a TV deal to make it. So it's gonna, like, I don't see why people don't think it's a good. It's better. I don't need all the noise drowned out in a 50,000 person stadium where you can't hear shit. I'm not saying they need to take WrestleMania back to arena. I'm just making the point of, like, we're arguing apples and oranges all the time, right? And it's like,
right.
How was the show? How was the show? That's all I give a shit about. How was the show?
Yeah, exactly. As a wrestling fan, what would you prefer to go to one of those? Of course, everybody likes the big events, the big show, that type of thing.
Yeah, man. If I had to compare a Raw versus a Dynamite type of thing, like comparing those two, like let's say Raw is in the arena that's 17,000 people, and Dynamite's in a 5,000 person place. Full transparency, man. I think this isn't bias. I just think the 5,000 person ones are cooler to me. The 17,000, you're just not. I just don't think that we see that much at a Raw. So I'm comparing the show now versus the. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's really what it boils down to. So now, if the shows are equal, which one would I rather go to? I'd rather go to a bigger one because the louder the pop, it's cooler. The bigger the stage, the bigger the entrance and all that stuff. I miss the WWE changes the entrance all the time. I miss that so much. Like, I understand that was a big overhead cost and they're owned by a venture capital firm now at this point. They're not doing that ever again, but it was cool. You know what I mean? Back in the day. So, all right. Last headline here. Raw. It's good. Is it bad? What is it? Raw this week. I thought the Grande Americano match, Gable versus Penta was cool. I like the stuff that they're doing with the females, with Julia and Roxanne and Rhea and all that stuff. And Io. I enjoyed that. And look, I'm a huge Seth guy, man. I think Seth is a stud. I think he's as good as it gets. I think he cooked CM Punk, for lack of a better term. I thought he did. I just think Seth is one of the top guys on the mic. I don't know, man. I'm interested to see where it all goes, but I just think, like, right now there's a little bit of a lull for me in the middle parts where I should be really excited, and I don't know that I am because there's so much fluff sometimes. And it's like, here's the thing with AEW, the wrestlers that aren't stars, I enjoy watching wrestle. The guys in WWE who aren't stars, I don't enjoy watching wrestle. Does that make sense? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's a weird dynamic, and it's not, I don't know what it is. It's just because I don't think the matches are good, and that matters to me. I understand it doesn't matter to everybody, but to me it does. So that's kind of where I am with it. What say you on the Raw front?
I'm kind of the same way, man. I feel like, especially this past week, of course, the Rollins and Braun Breaker and Heyman thing, I'm definitely interested to see where that goes. But everything else, I feel like it's really given me the same type of feeling SmackDown was giving me there for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
To whereas I really only was concerned with what Cody had going on, the main event scene there. But all the other stuff, man, I don't think that they're hitting on really about anything.
Yeah.
Of course, Dominic had one of the loudest pops in probably the last few years, and he's even kind of cooled off just a little bit.
Yeah, because they didn't put him right in a feud.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't how are we not feuding him and Dom right now?
Yeah, and I think also another big thing is your main event picture right now on Raw is not really pertaining your heavy champion. I would say the main storyline right now is of course Rollins, Punk, the thing that they got going on, and of course with Jey Uso and Logan. I feel like you're treading on a very fine line there with putting those two in a feud, because pretty much all wrestling fans, for the most part, they can appreciate Logan Paul's work rate and his ring work and all that stuff, but they don't like the dude. And I feel like
a garbage person.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like Jey Uso is also kind of like a love-hate thing too. Either you love what he's got going on, you're standing on your couch eating when he comes out, or you hate him and you think he is just all entrance.
I think he is the most over superstar that they potentially had. I don't think that they have a plan after Gunther. But it's like, also, how do you have a plan? It's like the whole thing with him was the chase. It's very similar to the Cody thing. Like, it's going to take a minute or a feud or something to turn it up. But right now it's, less than. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not knocking. It's still Raw, but I find myself fast forwarding a lot of segments and a lot of stuff on it right now with that. So I don't know. Raw, let us know your thoughts in the chat, man. Let us know your comment. How are you feeling about Raw and their stuff right now? All right, here's the next big one. Obviously, Backlash happened this weekend. I enjoyed it. I thought what it was cool. I will say I lost the pool by a point. I hate Becky Lynch. I will say I did enjoy what they did in the aftermatch. I got it. I get it. So that was fine. I just don't like Becky Lynch. I don't think everyone acts like she's a top tier horsewoman. I'm like, I don't think so, in my opinion. Not for me. Lyra is even less for me. That I would rather watch drywall get paint on it. It is terrible. I can't stand it. Now, in ring, awesome. It was fine. Someone tried to tell me that was the best. Oh, someone commented that was the. Oh, Triple H said that it was like one of the best women's matches of all time. And I'm like, brother, we just had a triple threat at WrestleMania. What are you talking about? I'm going to need Triple H to slow his roll on the whole Lyra train. For me, it's not for me. Now, all that to say, I still enjoyed Backlash. I was in St. Louis, didn't get to go. I'm very upset about it. I didn't even get to see anybody. I didn't get to see any of the wrestlers. It's bullshit. But I enjoyed it otherwise. I thought the Cena Randy Orton thing was cool. The schmoz finish with everybody was fun, unique the way they did it. The four-way, obviously, Fatu is stud, the U.S. title. So overall, I thought it was a good pay-per-view, man. I don't see. That's what I wanted to see was wrestling. That's what I care about was wrestling. You know what I mean? So for me, I really enjoyed it. I give it a solid B. B plus, actually. I don't think it was that bad. Like I said, and even the Becky Lynch, just because I don't like Becky Lynch and Lyra, the match was still good. They did their thing, which is what matters to me to a certain extent. I just don't care for Becky, so I'm like, whatever. Now that it's over, but yeah, I would give it a solid B plus. What say you?
I'm kind of on the other end of it, man. I really wasn't excited with anything that happened. I will say that the Randy Orton and Cena I was excited for, but for me, it started off really slow. I do feel like...
Well, I was lucky. I got to skip 10 minutes into the match.
Yeah, and you went straight into the good part. But I do feel like it started to catch on for me as further the match went on.
Yeah.
I just don't feel like that R-Truth should have played a part in it and the ending.
Yeah. What did you think about the R-Truth in the press conference?
So, I mean, something like that and the backstage segments,
I think R-Truth is so... I think he deserves a title shot just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Truth is hilarious. I feel like, of course, that's what he specializes in is comedy and, of course, the backstage segments. So I feel like there's a way to set that up, without him being involved in one of potentially the best feuds ever in wrestling, when it comes to an end.
Yeah.
And the rest of the pay-per-view, man, especially Becky Lynch, man. I feel like Becky Lynch, the only good she has going for her, as somebody who's big into merch, she's got a pretty cool T-shirt, that they've put out. But that's about it, man. I'm definitely like seeing all the Becky Hogan memes.
That's what I'm saying. The one time I needed her to go Becky Hogan, she goes out there and goes fucking Becky Horowitz out there. Took the pin like a bum.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like the my favorite match of the night was it was a little sloppy, but I do feel like the Gunther and McAfee match.
Yeah, man. I thought it was cool too. I think the way they did that was good. It's funny. It's amazing that Twitter feeds me Pat McAfee hate because I love Pat McAfee. So I don't know why Twitter would feed me that because I love Pat McAfee. I thought it was cool. I thought that was good. It was interesting. I am surprised, however, that I loved also that he wrestled in Cool Grays. Cool Gray 11 Jordans. That's my favorite sneaker ever. Obviously, when I became an adult, it's like the first thing I bought. So I love that. However, I did think it was weird that he wrestled in jeans. Like it was a fight. And I'm like, you've never wrestled in jeans before. That was weird. I don't know. But I did. I don't know why that was a point. But I
really like the way Cole got involved.
I did too. I thought that was really good.
It really just added, another layer to the match, and something else that I really, I put it in my phone because it was something that really stuck out to me. Cena he's been in the game for 20 years now, man, and everybody knows that he's famous for calling spots.
Yeah,
but it's starting to get embarrassing to watch.
Was he yelling it out loud?
Oh, dude, it was terrible. Like every single move, he was calling it. And as a heel, I was telling my brother, I feel like it's easy as a heel to be able to call those spots because you can talk shit to the ref, the crowd, your opponent, and throw those spots in there without looking like you're talking into the ear. Every single move.
I will say that he kind of looks ridiculous when he wrestles right now. It looks to me like he's constantly squatting. Like the way his legs look. And without the tan, I just don't... I'm kind of over the Cena heel thing now. I'm like, all right, it was cool, whatever. But like, I'm kind of a little bit over it. I did like the R-Truth thing at the end. I thought that was kind of funny. But I don't know. Like I said, it's for the nostalgia. We're going to get this for 1 year and then it's over. So I'm kind of like, all right, cool. Like, let it run its course.
I was thinking as the pay-per-view was going on, man, and it's funny that they've labeled them as premium live events because for me, I really don't feel like I feel like there's a lot of times at least one good match. The main event usually is pretty good, got a good story with it. But I feel like, man, are these premium live events even premium anymore? And I do feel like SummerSlam being a 2-night event, I don't know if they're going to be able to,
how they're going to fill it. Well, I know how they're going to fill it. They're going to fill it with recaps. Dude, I'm so tired of the recap. Dude, I'm telling you, the wait time in between matches is abysmal right now, dude. I don't know how. I really don't know how. It's, I don't know. I agree with you on that. I don't know if it's premium about that. That's a good point. It doesn't feel like a pay-per-view like it used to, right?
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the only thing that feels like premium about it is the cost of getting to the door.
Hey, you ain't lying. I didn't look at tickets, but I because I was and I was working, but I'm sure they were outrageous in St. Louis. I will say this: the crowd I thought was good. I got into an argument with Miguel about Jeff Cobb. Everyone's like, "Oh, Jeff Cobb had a huge pop." I'm like, "Yeah," because they thought it was somebody else. They were not popping for no offense to Jeff Cobb. You're not getting 18,000 people in St. Louis to pop for Jeff Cobb. I don't think. You know what I'm saying? Like I watch a lot of wrestling, so I know who Jeff Cobb is. my wrestling group chat does not know who Jeff Cobb is.
Yeah,
okay?
dude, and that's something that's also kind of it's kind of a weird thing to think about, especially with them bringing in so many. They brought in Penta, they brought in Ray Phoenix, Jeff Cobb now, Ricky Starks or Saints or whatever you want to call him, Ethan Page, and it's they seem like and they act like there's no wrestling outside of WWE. But when they come, they try to hype these wrestlers up so big when they come in, it's like half the crowd doesn't even know who they are because they just, only watch WWE.
It is a perfect thing that you said that. Someone, and we talked about this, I think it was me and Mario, and maybe I saw a tweet about it, but it was like WWE wouldn't exist right now without Ring of Honor or AEW. Like, of course they would exist, but I don't know that WWE's made their own. Can you name a single person who started? Okay, I can name a few, but number-wise, the stars that WWE has actually made recently, have they made any stars? Obviously, they made Seth. I believe that they made Seth Rollins. Don't get me wrong. Seth Rollins was great as Tyler Black, all that, but they made Seth Rollins. Like I'm not disputing that fact. They didn't make Kevin Owens. They didn't make Sami Zayn. They didn't make Adam Page. They didn't make Ricky Saints. They have made Oba Femi. They've made Trick Williams. They did not make Carmelo Hayes. They've made The Miz. I think when you look at it, everyone's like, WWE, if you want to be a star. And I'm like, today, earlier, Fred is like, man, we were talking about yesterday, something about Dynamite, and Fred's like, oh, man, maybe I'll watch to scout some talent. I was like, man, I bet that had to hurt for you to admit, finally, that y'all do need those companies. It's just that simple, man. People can say whatever they want, but these people are made men in other companies because they work their ass off to get to that point. Cody Rhodes is not Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, if not for AEW. So just to be clear about this for everyone, and if you honestly believe that Ricky Saints is a bigger star being on NXT versus being on AEW, we're never going to agree on pro wrestling. It's that simple. We're just not going to agree on pro wrestling. So I think that it is interesting, like you said, for these people to act like these other companies don't exist, but then more than half the roster came from somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I think the two big names that come to my mind when you talk about WWE building or attempting to build stars, of course, we saw what happened with Austin Theory. They tried to catapult him and didn't work. And same thing, I feel, with Roman Reigns. I mean, they shoved him down everybody's throat for
and
how many.
It didn't work for a long time.
And it didn't work really until, one of the best minds in wrestling and Paul Heyman got involved and was like, here's some gold, let's see what you can do with it.
Yeah, I just think for people to say that you can only be a star in WWE is just so outrageous, right? Where it's like, oh, we make stars. And it's like, nah, you borrow them from other places and you just shine a brighter light. Yeah. Sometimes you don't even shine a brighter light. So,
yep.
I don't know, man. I'm excited for Rusev to be back in catering, so good for him. All right. Up next, Beach Blast took place last night. AEW's Beach Blast. I thought it was really good. I think I've said this a lot, man. Again, I'm not like a homer for any of the companies. I love all of it. But I do think AEW is really heating up, and they're really on a stretch right now where they're really, really doing damage. And they're putting on great shows. Last night was no different. The cage match, Gabe Kidd came out. That was kind of fun. Mina Shirakawa, I did find it hilarious that Mina Shirakawa came out with a new entrance, and by the end of the match, they switched it back to her other one. I thought that was kind of a funny discourse on the internet where people are complaining. I'm like, damn, y'all didn't even give it an episode to let that theme song breathe. Like, y'all are like, we want the old one back. It's like, all right, relax. Your mom's basement will be fine. You can find the other one on Spotify. But overall, I do think, obviously, and I've said this too, AEW has some dog shit stuff too. They've got that frat house group where it's like, all right, relax, Chase U. We get it. You're a cornball. It's whatever. But there's some, they're really at the top. It's really, really good. MJF joining the Hurt Syndicate. I almost called it the Hurt Factory. The Hurt Syndicate. I thought that was good. I liked the tag team dynamic when all those tag teams started coming out too. I thought that my favorite part that I would say would be Stokely Hathaway saying to Nigel McGuinness, you're going to beat Dax? You could barely beat hepatitis. What makes you think you can beat Dax? And I was like, damn, that is wild. But I thought that was funny. So either way, I thought Beach Blast was great. I love the ending. We're going to do Anarchy in the Arena at Double or Nothing. That's next week. We'll talk about that next weekend. So I don't know, man. Beach Blast, I just feel like AEW, like I said, is really, really positive right now. They're having a lot of positive momentum. I think they're staying the course, and they're like, this is what we're doing. This is how we're going to do it. I don't know, man. I enjoyed it. What about you?
Same thing, man. I agree with what you just said. The only gripe I have at all about the show last night is, dude, you can't call a show Beach Blast or Beach anything,
and then have it in Chicago.
Be in Chicago, man. Like who allowed that to happen?
I did think that was hilarious. Like, damn, who planned this trip?
Yeah, and going back to nostalgia. I was previously watching some old WCW stuff, and something like this would be perfect. And I feel like it would get a lot of eyes on. Say Tony Khan were to do the old WCW thing and have the ring in a floating pool or something.
I know, full WCW Nitro shit. They should have had it in Panama City.
Absolutely,
done the whole thing. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but AEW, man, I feel like you said, they're hitting on all cylinders right now. I really do agree and feel like they've got tunnel vision, and I feel like that they are on a certain path, and I feel like they're sticking to it.
Yeah.
You can really tell with a lot of the storylines, and something that I thought about last night when the whole tag team thing happened, it left Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara kind of in a weird place in the middle between the two tag teams.
Yeah.
And I feel like WWE would never let that happen nowadays. Yeah. And I feel like that's like,
well, that's because WWE hates tag team wrestling, but yeah,
that is probably the biggest reason. Yes. But I feel like WWE, man, I feel like they're just too polished and everything is too perfect. Yeah. And they don't, this person's back to the camera for a certain period, whatever. And I feel like,
yeah, sometimes I'm programmed to that, too. I'm like, oh, that looked really bad, because I think you're right. We're programmed to the WWE way where it has to be perfectly polished, and they act like it's not live. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that was something that made me, I'm like, man, if I was Dustin Rhodes or Sammy Guevara, I would feel kind of weird being in the middle of, Leo Rush and them, and then the tag team champs. And, like, man, that's what wrestling is it's not supposed to be everything perfect and everything polished. And, obviously you don't want to go out there and make a fool of yourself and miss cues and it be super embarrassing. But at the same time, I feel like that's the type of thing that, me as a wrestling fan, I really appreciate and enjoy.
Yeah, I think my thing last night, I have two gripes. So that tag segment was, I like the tag teams involved. However, I don't know about Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara. I don't give a shit about either one of them. But my gripe was at the beginning. I love the tag team match. Right? I just don't understand why we have the Callis family lose ever. Ever. They should never, ever, 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 ever lose to make them the top faction. I don't understand that booking. That part weirds me out, because what I would have done was to continue on. You obviously tease the buckshot and the hidden blade thing with them hitting each other, Hangman and Ospreay. I do wish that one of them would have just accidentally hit them and then Konosuke won. Like, I just think that I like the attack after the match. It's fine. But, like, I don't know, man. That part, that's my gripe. And I'm like, damn, I love the match. Obviously, the match is incredible. But, like, fuck, I wish they would have done that instead, because how can I think the Callis family is so up top? So, how can I think of them as a top thing if they're always losing?
Yeah, and it does seem like that they've definitely been on the shorter end of the stick for a lot of the matches that they've been in, and it kind of makes you wonder if it's related to the Death Riders at all. They've been the top faction, and
that's what I'm saying. But don't you need a top faction after John Moxley loses? Don't you need another top heel?
Right. And I do feel like the Callis family definitely has a lot more longevity in it.
Dude, they have three of the best wrestlers. They have Josh Alexander, Konosuke Takeshita, and Kyle Fletcher. That's right there. They have other people too. I don't give a shit about them. Those three is all I care about. What are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, they could have been. You're talking about making a top star in Kyle Fletcher right now. If they would have won, right? What you have them do is they win, right? And then obviously Hangman and Ospreay are still going to fight, and that winner is going to get a title shot, right? The winner of the Owen Hart gets a title shot, right? I just don't see. You're gonna need another top faction. Once the Death Riders lose, the faction is over. I gotta believe. Like, it's run its course. It's got to be over at that point. So you need now the next top bad guys, and you've got Fletcher, Takeshita, and Josh Alexander. Like, I just don't see how they miss on. I don't know. For me, it's like, whatever. That was my one gripe. I was like, I love the match, but I'm like, damn, I wish they would have done this differently. I'm excited though. Like I said, I think AEW like really gonna put on something next week too. It'll be an exciting.
Yeah, man. I'm hoping Gabe Kidd sticks around. When I saw that was him last night,
he's awesome, man. I love Gabe Kidd, dude. Awesome. He's awesome. He's definitely a sycophant though. Like he says some wild shit. He is he's kind of outrageous sometimes. Where I'm like, he went on that big tangent about FAEW, FWWE. I'm the Ichiban now. Like, this is my house, and I'm like, then he showed up on AEW television. I'm like, I don't know if that works, but whatever. New Japan right now is they're in a tough spot right now, man. New Japan, they're losing Naito. They've lost Los Ingobernables de Japón. They've lost Bushi. Obviously, Cobb's gone. They've lost someone. Like, they've got some rebuilding to do over there in New Japan. So we'll see kind of what they have. A bunch of guys like Callum Newman. They have a bunch of talent over there, but I just don't know what's going to happen next. So we'll see. I'm excited for Anarchy in the Arena. We'll talk about Double or Nothing next week, as well as we do a pick 'em and kind of go through that. All right, it's time for the randomizer, where I pick a random topic and we discuss it. And this week, you get to choose one babyface to turn heel and one heel to turn babyface. Who would it be? Can be a female, can be a male, can be a tag team, can be a manager. Any of the above. You get to turn one person babyface and one person heel. Who you turning?
Like current?
Yeah, current. Yeah. Well, current. Actually, we could do. You could give a historical person a babyface run or a heel run if you want. I guess. I'm open.
And I would say, as a babyface run, I would say I would turn Arn Anderson heel to a babyface.
Okay.
And man, I don't know how I would say this, but kind of lose Flair, ditch Flair, Flair's out of the picture, and just kind of see what Arn Anderson would have done on his own, as like a main event star, as a singles wrestler.
Old Double A.
Yeah.
Double A pretty much was like, he was never really full babyface. He was really always like either tweener or heel, really.
Yeah.
Okay, and who are you turning heel?
Man, who am I turning heel? I would say, man, I really liked when Kenny Omega was a heel, dude. I feel like
you turn him back heel.
Yeah, I definitely would. The segment, and I don't know why this sticks out in my mind, but when he was in the ring, humping the AEW title, that was some of the funniest shit.
Yeah.
And when he was with Don Callis, I can't stand Don Callis. I hate him.
Yeah.
And of course he does his job. That's what he's supposed to do.
Sure.
But man, Kenny Omega as a heel was pretty good. And I feel like he was just starting to find his way into, being a really good heel and fitting in with the audience and that week-to-week television.
Yeah.
And he kind of didn't he get injured and took him off of TV for a while?
Exactly, yeah.
And then of course Don Callis going in there and stabbing him in the back.
Yeah.
And, man, that was an awesome feud.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. I would turn right. I'm just gonna do right now because it's hard for me to think about back then. I was trying to think, but I would say I would turn Edge Cope. I would turn him back heel and tag with Christian one last time and let them kind of run rampant and kind of do their thing. I just think he's a better like shit heel than he is really as a baby. I don't really care. Obviously, I know why we're giving him the babyface pop. I get it, but like,
now, you think that's almost like a 100% guarantee? Not necessarily.
I don't know, but I think it would be cool as if he does one more run with Christian.
Yeah, I do. I do think.
How many more years do they have left?
Yeah, especially Edge, man. Yeah. And I do feel like that they'll give him one more run together. I feel like that's why he probably went there.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it'll be a heel or a babyface. That'll be interesting.
And then I would turn Finn Balor back babyface. I think he's just way more over as a babyface. I love his characters. I think he's amazing backstage. His pre-tapes are hilarious. I think he does a really great job doing what he's doing, but I just loved him as a babyface on top. Like, that man... Nothing has ever been worse. I would say no career has ever been, obviously there have been careers that have been ended, so excluding the ones that have ended, but someone's career took an absolute nosedive after an injury more than Finn Balor's. I mean, he's never even sniffed the world title after that shoulder injury.
Yeah, dude, that night after Raw, man, or that night, what was it, Survivor Series where he won that?
Was it Survivor? I thought it was SummerSlam. Was it Survivor Series?
It might have been, but that night after on Raw, man,
dude.
It's never been the same ever since.
Dude, I mean, seriously, look how much it took to get his career back on track. It took a long time. So I would love to see him as a babyface again. I think he's a top babyface. I just think he works the mic. He can wrestle better than 85% of other guys. I would love to see him as a babyface again. So I think that would be kind of fun.
Yeah, dude, and I feel like I find myself thinking a lot, man, like especially WWE wrestlers, like, man, how would they fare in AEW? Like some of those old Bullet Club members, and like
Finn and AJ they would be running the show. There wouldn't be a conversation about whether or not AEW was beating NXT if Finn Balor and AJ Styles went to AEW. I just truly don't think there would be. Because, I mean, AJ Styles obviously putting on matches every week with those guys. He did it in TNA for 10 years, just so everyone's fucking clear. Okay? He did it for 10-plus years in TNA every week. So, like, for y'all to say I don't think people quite understand that. Like, he doesn't wrestle on WWE television right now. His gimmick is not – what he's doing currently does not fit in WWE right now. I think he is as lost as any of those top guys have been.
Yeah, dude, and I honestly feel like someone like him, obviously that's the big leagues, everybody dreams of that being the end goal, but man, I really applaud Jericho for stepping out and, being like, I'd like to be a part of something new and see where we could take it versus taking a safe route and like, let me collect a safe paycheck. WWE's not going anywhere and, let those guys do their own thing over there.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see, man. I think that's the cool thing about professional wrestling and having alternatives is all of that's possible, right? All these people getting released and all this new stuff, it's possible, man. There's some interesting matchups that we may see down the road. All right, man. Well, we did it. We did another week. This is episode number 16 here on season 2, and we managed to do it. Next week we'll be back. We'll discuss Double or Nothing. Obviously, more SmackDown things will happen. More Raw things will happen. Hopefully there's no crazy news, but we're going to chat all about it. TY, thanks for joining us here. Until next time, everybody, when we go around the mat.